Sportscast, where we delve into the minds of sports individuals and sports people, sports personalities, or rather anybody kind of involved in sports in India today. Today with me, yet another interesting person, and I think we've come to expect them on a show like this. I have with me Vaidehi Vaidya, who is the managing director of Women in Sports. So I was actually looking through Vaidehi's profile, and when I was curating speakers for a show like this, I was actually looking through her profile, and she happens to be more of a pioneer in the space of women in sport. And she one of the first few women to actually be involved in sports today, as well as one of the first few to be educated in the space today. So Vaidehi, thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you for taking time out to come on the show. I would obviously like to start off by talking a little bit about your TED talk that you had given, and you mentioned something about looking at all the guys in your college, obviously engineering and all of that, and you looked at the guys in your college and you started playing football with them. Can you just take me through that experience of playing football with them? Or rather, starting to play football with guys in your college. What was the
Um,
experience like?
of course. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for having me as a part of the podcast. And I'm always looking forward to talking to new people. And, it's always a learning curve for me. To start off with, to be honest, everybody who started playing football when I did had to start playing boys, because I remember when I was in Pune, I am still in Pune, but I remember when I started playing football, there was just one club, football club, where you could go and play as a girl. So naturally, you would play with boys, and when I started playing football for this local club, I decided that I want to play for my college as well, because there were some tournaments going on and there were university competitions which I wanted to participate in, but you would need a girls team for that. And for that sole purpose, I started first playing with the boys, and they were welcoming. Of course, they didn't criticize me. They didn't say you can't play because you're a girl, because a lot of them knew that I played sports, and they were open to me playing with them. But unfortunately, you know you could not participate in university level tournaments or college events as a member of boys team, right? You would need to have a girls team to participate in these events. So then I started a girls team for my college, and it was an experience, of course, because in my college there were already few girls, and even fewer had any sort of playing experience, any sort of sports experience, to be honest. So it was a tough job to gather that team of 11. We started with first 7 players, and then slowly built up to 13 players, which was like hardly 11-a-side team. And it was an experience for sure. I had to go to different classes and literally beg for them to come and join the team, but they did. And I remember at times, we used to have early morning practice uh, on our college ground,
Right.
and at times it happened that it was just me who was there for the practice. Nobody else turned up, but it's a learning experience, and it taught me a lot. I was the manager, the captain, the everything. I was looking after everything, the finance guy of the team. But slowly and steadily, as we started playing, as we started practicing, we started participating in events, we started winning also. We in many
Right.
tournaments, we were winners or runners up. So my college also saw that there is a potential. And then when
Right.
I went to my college for jersey sponsorship or jersey funding, they were open to it. They funded our jerseys, they funded at times our travel costs, although it wasn't outside Pune, but they supported us. They gave us free hand to, go out, and they considered our tournament timetable also, and they considered that, we, some of us would not be able to attend lectures and stuff like that. So they were very open. They were very accommodating. I think I didn't feel any resistance, to be
Right.
honest, neither from boys in my college nor from the college itself. They were very welcoming and they were very supportive to,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So
but
I
but it
think
was an experience for sure.
Okay, I mean, of course. But I think my next question, quite naturally, I mean, the question that pops into many people's head is, I mean, why football? I mean, how did you pick up football as a sport? Did you was it somebody that you watched playing, or are you an addict of the Premier League like myself?
Oh, no,
Or
no, no,
something?
no, 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 no. To be honest, I was first introduced to football during my engineering years. So first year of my engineering years, I saw boys team playing and practicing. So we had three teams, if I'm correct, A, B, and C, and I saw
Right,
them playing on our college ground. And that was when I was first introduced to football. I didn't even know that sport existed before that. So I am not a fan. I am a player. People always ask me which club do you support. I don't support any club. I support a sport. I'm a
right,
player before I'm a fan. So I'm, that's what it is. And um, so I saw them playing, and I thought, okay, I've always been a player. I played taekwondo before. I swam. In my 12th, holidays, I joined a camp bit. I played badminton for a bit. So I've been a player for a while. And when I saw them playing during my first year, I thought, okay, why not? I can join. I can kick about.
right,
And I started playing, and I thought, okay, yeah, I can do this. I know how to play football. Of course, I had to know, I had to learn rules and all that. But yeah, I was kind of good at it. And then I tried to find a club in Pune, and then I joined that club, and then I started playing football. That's how I was introduced to football. But it
right.
was it was really late. I was introduced at the age of 19. And
Okay,
usually, if you want to go ahead, you should start playing at pretty early age, around
right.
6 or 7. And right now, for girls and boys, that is an option, because most of the schools have football teams. So that's a good thing. I didn't. Uh, so yeah.
Right. Now, I want to pick up on something that you just mentioned. You said you were involved in multiple sports as opposed to just one, right?
Yeah.
Now, and obviously, I mean, gathering from what you've told me so far, you are more of a natural athlete, and sports is something that comes naturally to you. I mean, taekwondo to swimming to badminton to football and a lot of other things, right? So, or rather I should say, what is the role that sports plays in somebody's life, or rather, why is it important for somebody to take up sport, whether they're good at it or not?
Okay. So first of all, it's, when we play, when we are kids, we play because we want to hang out with our friends and have fun. That is the
True.
basic requirement. If anybody wants to have fun and hang out with their friends, they should play sport. It's as simple as that. You don't need to complicate it. You don't need to think about, do I have athletic abilities? Do I have a body structure fit for playing in a particular sport? Doesn't matter. You have, even today, when I go out and play six-a-side game, it's because I want to hang out with my friends and have fun, and just have a ball to kick around. That's it. That ball is not significant right now. Hanging out with my friends and having fun is the most important thing, and sport basically gives you that. So yeah, if anybody who wants to have fun in their life for at least an hour a day, they should go out and play sports. It's as simple as that for me. you know.
Right.
It's, and of course then there are other things that, you know, the life skills that you learn through sports, like, you know, team being a team player, you know,
Right.
being able to handle failures, being persistent, being mentally strong. All these are life skills which are not particular to sports field. They are applicable to any field. Even if you
Right.
work in engineering field or IT field, they, you know, they translate. And I see that today as an entrepreneur, you know, because I am a player, or I was a
Right.
player, I have learned these skills through that, and today I use those skills to move ahead, to be successful, to, handle any no's that come my way. So of course that is there,
Right.
and I was talking to somebody recently, and I spoke to them, and I was like, this was the question that was asked, and my answer was, when you're talking to a person, you can pick out the people who have played sports.
Right.
It's the attitude that they have. You know that they have played sports in their life. You know, you can make out these people, and yeah, they are very positive
Right.
because they have faced so many failures. They have lost so many matches. They have lost so many competitions in their life that, simple failure doesn't bother them much. So you can literally make out who's played sports in their life. And of course, the third important reason is health. You play sports,
Right.
you stay healthy, you eat well. And I mean, you have usually players, athletes, whoever has played sports, whether at a competitive level or not, or recreational level, they have good habits. They eat
Right.
properly. They have a sleeping cycle. They exercise regularly. So health wise, also sports is very important. But first and foremost, fun. Go out and have fun.
Right.
That's yeah.
So what you just told me right now is, such music to my ears. I can't. I feel like getting up and jumping around, which I can't do at the moment. But it's so amazing. And you talk about. I just by speaking to someone, you can actually just identify whether they've played sports, because just the passion that they have when they talk about it itself is just something so amazing. But I want to just talk a little bit about you're obviously going regressing back to your TED talk a little bit, where you speak about courses that you did, and you went to University of Liverpool. You started working with the UEFA and things like that. So for the benefit of people who are listening to this show right now, can you just take us through that journey and what your learnings from that journey were?
Yeah, of course. So in the last year of my engineering, I decided that I was not going to sit for the usual campus interviews because, I'm not a big fan of 9 to 5. I'm not a big fan of cubicles. I wanted to have something new every day. And sports was a natural choice. Uh, when I started, it was a difficult decision, of course, because this was what, 10 years back. I think I graduated in 2010, so 11 years back almost. And at that point of time, sports industry was nowhere in India. So that decision was a difficult decision, of course, but I took it anyway. And I wanted to work in sports because it would bring creativity in my life. It would break the monotony, and I would get to do something new every day. So that was the thought behind it. And I have been a player almost my entire life, so it was a natural choice for me. But
Right.
then it was important for me to educate myself in the field, because I have been an engineer with little to no exposure to competitive level sports or management side of sports. So it was very important for me to gain that knowledge, gain that experience. So then I started searching for relevant courses, and I wanted to do something in football because it was a sport that I was playing at the time. I fell in love with the sport, and then I started something. I wanted to do something in football. I started searching for relevant courses, and I came across this course called FIMBA, which was delivered by University of Liverpool. And at first I was a little hesitant. I didn't know anything about it. And but then I of course searched on it, uh, did my little bit of research on it, and I contacted the university. I tried to understand what it was. I connected with a couple of alumni. Some of them were in my city, so I went and, you know, met them. I discussed a little bit about their experience, why they were choosing the course, and what they, you know, want to gain out of it. And after doing all this, I decided, you know, I want to go and do this course, particularly,
Right.
you know, FIMBA,
Right.
because it was about, you know, football. And it was in UK where football basically started. UK is the mother of football. So
Right.
it was the right choice for me. And I did, you know, I applied right after my engineering, but they came back to me saying I needed 2 years of experience. And
Right.
they were very encouraging, because they were promoting women, you know, in the leadership
Right.
position at the time. So I they said, you know, get 2 years of experience and apply again, and we will be happy to have you as a part of the course, you know. So I did that. You know,
Right.
I gained 2 years of experience. It wasn't, you know, they didn't the experience didn't need to have, you know, need to be in sports or football particularly, or it would be any experience, any management experience, any engineering field experience, any experience, full-time experience would be
Right.
okay.
Right. Right.
And yeah, so applied again, and I got in. And yeah, so that's how I went there. And for me, it was an amazing experience, because the people who were part of the course were there because of the passion that they had for the game.
Right.
So we weren't just classmates, we became much more closer than that. We would always hang out with each other. We would, you know, so I remember there were, you know, some of the classes we used to have were with the normal MBA degree students, and they would be like, how the hell do you, you know, always hang out together? You know, how is it possible? How are you always together? What do you guys do? You know, we don't hang out with each other. And they would see us, you know, and they would
I feel
at
envious. Yeah.
times get jealous.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what it was. You know, we were bound by this one game, and we shared this passion, and that, you know, brought us closer to each other. So it was a very different kind of experience. You know, I am in touch with many of them today, even after 7 years, 8 years, I think. uh, I just spoke to one of them this morning. Not spoke as in you know, video call or call, but like I chatted with him this morning,
Right.
and we are,
Right.
you know, we are still in touch with each other. We talk to each other very often. And that's the most important thing for me, you know, the kind of bond that you form with your classmates. And of course the alumni network is strong, very very strong, and they are, you know, all over the world. So whenever I travel to different countries, or get a chance to travel to different countries, I always send a message to the alumni network, and there are always 4 to 5 people there, and I go and meet them. So alumni network is super strong, and I love hanging out with them. And the
Right.
kind of people who came and, you know, spoke to us during the course, you know, these were CEOs of UK clubs that we only see on TV, right?
Right. Right.
They were, you know, Premier League decision makers. And these people were, there were people from FIFA, UEFA. We got a chance to go to UEFA as well, you know, as
Right.
our
Right.
school trip in a way.
Right. Right.
And so the experience was phenomenal. And
Right.
Liverpool as a city, I just loved, you know, I just loved Liverpool.
Right.
It was very familiar for some reason. I didn't feel
Right.
out of place. I didn't feel like I don't belong there. It was very homely. And yeah, so a lot of experiences, a lot of lessons learned, and the faculty members were superb as well.
Right. So that was actually going to be my next question. You did work with the UEFA post that, right?
Yeah.
Working with the UEFA and then coming back to India, and working in sports. I think not many are actually fortunate like you to have a career in sports or still having a career in sports, right? So one is, can you take us through the experience with the UEFA?
Mhm.
And the second thing is, can you talk a little bit about the Indian sports industry and the growth that you probably see? And, for people who are studying in, you have so many business schools today, right? So if you, yeah, just take us through that experience and what your thoughts are on the industry today.
So, as a part of the MBA course, you're supposed to do either a dissertation or a work-based project, which is,
Right.
you work. It's like a 3-month internship, right?
Right.
So mine was both combined. And I was lucky because I was interested in women's sports from the beginning, women's football from the beginning. So when we had a chance to go to UEFA headquarters, I took that opportunity to learn more about women's football and how UEFA is basically handling women's football. What is it that they are doing different? What is it that they are doing basically to promote women's football? And I took that opportunity. I stayed for a couple of days, couple more days, and I took that opportunity to visit again and speak to their women's football department particularly. And I had no intention of getting an internship at the time. It was just for my benefit. It was just for my knowledge because I want what they do differently. And I did that, and they really liked my approach, and they really liked my enthusiasm towards women's football particularly. And then when it was time for me to search work-based project or dissertation, one of them, one of the UEFA personnel who was also part of FIMBA, who was also FIMBA alumni, came back to me saying that there is an organization called Asian Football Development Project, and they want to do a research project on women's football in India, basically. And it will be a UEFA funded project, and the concept would be, there's AFDP's concept.
Right.
And would you like to do it? you know um and I was like, hell yes. Why wouldn't I want to do that project? Why wouldn't I want to do that project? It was an amazing opportunity for me. It took me back to my own country, and at the time, and even that, it's still true. There is hardly any secondary data available on women's football particularly. And
Right.
that is the reason why I had to actually travel across the country. I went to different, you know s- rural regions of India. I went to, of course, metro cities. I went to federations. I went to, coaches, players. I spoke to so many people, and I had to gather that data within 3 months. So it was a very hectic project, but it was one of the best time of my life. It's, I would still call it a highlight of my sport journey till today. It was an
Right.
amazing opportunity, and I basically produced that report. It was the first report on women's football in India because nobody had done it
Right.
before. And I got that opportunity through UEFA because for me, it was a learning experience. For me, I did not care whether I got a job or internship or not. It was, for me, it was the most important thing was to learn. And
Right. Right.
I would suggest this to everybody. Forget about job first. Try and be curious about things. That's
Right.
how you get opportunities. That's my experience. That's how I got UF opportunity.
Right.
Not
Right.
in a million years would I have thought that I would get an opportunity to work with UEFA as an intern, but I did, and that is because I was curious, to be honest. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, it was one of the best, time of my life. And I took that
Right.
opportunity, and yeah. So what was your second
Yeah.
question? I forgot.
No. So I think you answered both of it by this. I was asking you about the about careers in sport and things like that. I think your curiosity thing answers it quite well, actually.
Yeah,
And this is actually something that I even tell. Or rather, I used to tell the interns who used to work with us, be curious, and I think it holds true in sports, holds true in life, holds true in careers, holds true everywhere. But
yeah,
actually, recently while I started this podcast, and this is something that I think you can actually talk a little bit on, is I was just looking at the Indian women's football team and the I League that has been open for women for since 2016, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
one name that actually comes across a lot is Aditi Chauhan. You
yeah.
know, and I actually just looked through her page and I saw, oh, she's played for West Ham women, and we look at I actually look at few Indian players who actually played abroad, and I think not many people really talk about what Aditi has achieved, but it's something phenomenal, fantastic, and the way Indian women have been playing, there are scouts from everywhere across the world who actually come to scout Indian women, right? So specifically Indian football, I mean, what is the growth trajectory that you see?
Indian football, eh, you know, couple of things have been good in terms of developing football in India. Not just men's or women's, overall. Leagues at top level. You know, we can say, is ISL working? There are debating opinions about that.
Right,
Should we have just one league? Why do we have I League and ISL? I League doesn't get enough attention, and we could go into that debate. But I think ISL has brought media attention to Indian football, and that at times you have to pay attention to that, because it develops a brand which I League hasn't been able to do for longest time, and we need that
right,
for the growth of Indian football. We need that media attention. We need football to reach to the grassroots level, top level
right,
football to reach to the grassroots level, so that our grassroots level football develops, so that our player pool increases at the grassroots level, right? So I think it's very important. I see that it's growing, and there will be reforms in Indian football, in the coming years. There would be, structural reforms. There would be, how should I put it, like league level reforms. There would be, player level reforms, transfer and whatnot. So financial level reforms. There would be a lot of reforms in the coming years, but the growth is in positive direction, I would say. The other
right,
thing that I have observed is, when I started playing football, for women particularly, there were no leagues, period. There was nothing.
right,
There were very few clubs in India. But now I see my city, Pune, has over 24 clubs,
wow,
women's clubs. And we
wow,
have a district level league today, where all these clubs participate, and they get a chance to go to IWL qualifiers, and
right,
they get to play IWL, some of them, right? So a lot of people will come and say this is not an ideal situation. Yes, it isn't, but it is way better than what it was 7 years back, 10 years back, right? And we have to give ourselves time. We have to give women's football time to develop. It's the momentum. Once it
right,
starts, it starts. Then there's no stopping it. So
right,
I see that development today. Karnataka has two levels for women's football, super and A. You don't see that
right,
everywhere else. You didn't see that 7 years back, 10 years back, but it is there now. It's one of the best
right.
women's league out there, and I'm really proud to say that we have that league today. We,
Right.
even if IWL isn't performing at its best, even if we say that people are not paying attention, at least today we have that league where women can represent.
Right.
Of course, federation needs to look at it as a professional league, and people will object, people will come out and say that federation needs to do this, and it will eventually happen. But we
Right.
need to give ourselves some time. I think whatever is happening in Indian football, I think it's for better, not for
Right.
worse.
Right. Okay. I think that's again, a lot of what you've been saying in this show has been like really been music to my ears. I love listening to these kind of things. It's really amazing. But I want to ask you specifically. What is it that what is it that you would tell a parent who wants to get their daughters into football? How would you go and tell them, hey, look, what, put your daughter in football, she go play, she might go on to play for India, you never know, right?
Mm.
So how is it that you would go about doing something like that?
To be honest, I see the change today in the parents' mentality. A lot of parents do connect with me and ask
Okay.
me questions about, we want to put our daughter into football, badminton, I don't know, so many different sports. And one thing that I would definitely tell parents is, let her play, not because she can become a national player, because she can become a better person in due time. Because not the stats say that only 1% of total, you know uh, children playing today can go on to become professional players. So I cannot say that she might play
Right.
for India someday. I cannot. I don't know that, right? So I never say this to any parent. I would say this to parents: let her play because she can, and she will enjoy, and she will become a
Right.
better person, she will become a stronger person, a confident person, right?
Right.
That is what sport does. That is what football is going to do for your daughter, right?
Right.
And parents understand this. I'll be honest with you. There are a lot of parents come to me, and not just daughters, but sons also, right? Boys and girls. They come to me saying, we want our daughter or son to become a professional player. It's not that easy. It is not that easy to become a professional player. There is a lot of hard work, and there is a lot of effort. There are a lot of sacrifices which you don't consider
Correct.
when you want your son or daughter to be a professional player. Understand the reality of the sport first. So you can have dreams for your children, but you also need to be realistic. So that is what
Right.
I would say. Don't ask your daughter to play because you want her to become a national player. Don't do that. That's what I would say to
Right.
parents. Let her play because
Right.
she will have fun. She will learn life skills. She will be healthy mentally and physically. That's why
Right.
you should have your daughter play any sport, not just football. Any sport is okay.
Right. Okay. So, Vaidehi, that was just amazing. I think I'm actually going to bring an end to this session now. And I think the advice that you've given to parents, especially because when I started playing sport, my grandfather used to say, "Ah, he's going to play for India." So my grandfather actually played tennis for India. So he said, "Oh yeah, my grandson will play for India. My son never played. My grandson will play."
Hmm.
So I think what you said, I think it's added a lot of value to a lot of people, given a lot of people hope, and I believe that's what sports is meant to do. Vaidehi, thank you so much for being a part of this. We will definitely have you back on season 2, and we have some children who actually should listen to your story and what sports can do. I think that's something really amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Abhijit. It has been a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to coming back in the second season as well.
Season,
This has been
yes,
fun for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank